Good morning. This is Mark Sobowitz on A Clarion Voice from the Hub Studios in Atascadero. And this morning we're going to find out about Bryan's House Recovery Home. So stay tuned. I want to thank our sponsor, Cherry Bomb. I've been taking this for the last 2 months, and it's great to sustain your energy and also increase your clarity of mind during the course of the day. And so, if you want to place an order, uh, Cherry Bomb can be reached at www.cherrybomb.com. You can see that on your screen, in addition to the promo code. And if you place an order, you can use the promo code to get a 25% discount off of any order that you make. So try Cherry Bomb to help you throughout the day. Let's get to the interview. I want to introduce to you Sandy Wortley and Alicia McAllister. Ladies, thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for asking us.
Sandy is the director of Bryan's House Recovery Home, and Alicia is the program supervisor.
All right. Well, it all started back in 2000. Well, I had worked for the county in the perinatal program. And then in 2010, we lost my son due to it was a drug overdose. And so basically, when I was working for the county, one of the supervisors, because it was needed in this area, a program for women with children. And so they had approached me and said, hey, would you be interested in opening up it started out as a sober living, and they were going to do treatment at the county. So they asked me if I was interested in it. And so I kind of thought about it. And then somebody said, well, we call it Bryan's House. So that kind of got me, I thought, yeah, that would be really great. So I prayed about it. And as time went on, I just started doing the footwork little by little. I thought, well, let me check it out. So I went and talked with Star Graber at the county. And so she was kind of explaining what they needed. And so I prayed about it and just took one step at a time. And it seemed like every time I got discouraged, I think, oh, this is way more work than I thought it would be. God would open up another door, So that's kind of how we started. We got to the last point where we didn't have a house. We had everything set up. And then a friend of mine, they had owned a home they were renting. So she had called me and said, hey, if you're interested, you can rent that house. So there we went. we were on. And then, and losing my son, he was married and he has 2 children, and he had gone on and off in recovery, and he'd relapse, and there's a whole long story behind that. But, so I saw firsthand what it did to the kids. The children are just devastated. Mm-hmm. And so part of me was thinking, well, if we did this, it would really help a lot of women, because we had worked for the outpatient program, but they're only there for 2 hours and then they go home, and so we thought, gosh, if you have them all day, every day, you could really work with them. So God just kept opening the doors, and we started. And then in 2016, I believe it was 17, they approached us about making it a residential treatment home. So the difference is we do treatment there at the house. We have a staff. We had to increase our staff, which we have a staff of about 10 staff members. So someone's got to be there 24 hours a day. So, and we do treatment every day. It's for families or moms with children 5 or under, or pregnant. Pregnant usually always takes priority. So we started out. God just kind of kept opening doors for us.
Okay. Alicia, what is your capacity as a program supervisor? How do you interact with the program?
So my role as a program supervisor is just to make sure things keep running smoothly. Make sure I also do treatment groups, individual counseling sessions with the women. Make sure, making changes to the programs as appropriate. With different groups that come in, we have to kind of change the program up just a little bit to meet the needs of whoever's in the house. So it's just making sure everybody's kind of staying on track, and things are getting done. Women are getting what they need. The children are getting what they need.
Okay.
The outside resources are all set up.
Okay, we were talking earlier about a spiritual component involved in the program. How does that work as far as your what services you provide?
Okay, well, basically, usually what you find out, anybody who gets in recovery, if they're going to 12-step programs, there's a spiritual component, you know. What we decided to do is we introduce them to all the different everything out there that can help them. So we take them out to 12-step meetings. We take them to church. We're not considered a faith-based program, but we introduce them to everything. So when they come in, they have a 30-day blackout, basically, which means they can't talk to anybody outside, of the house. And so family members or so anyway, what we started doing is they do their meetings, and then we would take them to church. We take them to Highland two Sundays a month, and we take them to the Cowboy Church 2 Sundays a month. And so basically, what we tell them is for the first 30 days, we want to introduce them to all the different recovery options. And if they did decide they don't want to go to church, we can't force them to. So we told them basically they could go to a meeting with their sponsor. But it's been interesting because we opened in 2013, and for all these time, we've only had one woman who refused to go to church.
I see.
You know, and what happens is the majority of them, they go, they love it, they end up getting baptized. So it's just,
Oh,
it's
that's
like
great.
yeah,
That's
it's
good.
fantastic.
Very good.
They love it. Yeah.
Okay. Can you highlight some of the services that you provide, for the women specifically? I know that there's parenting issue,
Right.
things like that. What else?
I'm going to
What
hand
are-
that to her. 'Cause
Okay.
She does
Very
all
good.
that.
Okay.
We have parenting education. We do a lot of evidence-based treatments like cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy. We do anger management groups. We work on codependency. We have a therapist that works for us, so they get individual therapy 1 time a week. They also get family therapy. So after the girls have been there for a little while and started their therapy, they'll slowly start bringing in family members if needed and start working on family therapy. We introduce them. We get a lot of outside resources coming in to help with early intervention with the kids. We do attachment parenting. So we also do a parenting lab as one of our groups. And we do that 3 days a week. And that's involving the mothers and their children. So we're teaching them how to play with their kids, appropriate play, age appropriate play. We're working on attachment. So we're doing a lot of things like eye contact, touching, getting them to communicate with each other, learning each other's cues. Because the biggest part is when they come in and they've been using for a long time is their attachment is broken with the kids. And especially if the kids have been removed and placed in foster care, or if you have an infant who's been removed from the hospital and mom's never even had an opportunity to bond with them or do any attachment stuff. It's super important to get that attachment going because that's a huge part of their recovery. Because if they don't get that, their relapse risk just goes sky high.
It occurs to me, that the women they're there for like 6 months. Is that correct? Right. What is your favorite success story of the women that you've dealt with over the years? What comes to mind? I mean, is there someone in particular?
We have a lot. We have one lady that is actually working for social services now.
Really?
As what they have is peer supports, and so she got a job doing that. And it's great seeing her. We see her all the time because she'll bring clients over, or interact that way. And then we have another one who actually she came through our program in 2013. And when we were sober living, and then Alicia actually ran into her on the street one day, and she was pregnant, and she was living behind Vaughn's. And so Alicia says, you're ready to change. And so she brought her in. We took her to the county, got her assessment, brought her in, and she completed. And now she just completed an EMT class, and she's ready to. She's got a apartment she's renting, finished her EMT,
She's continuing school
Yeah.
to be a paramedic.
paramedic.
Okay.
That's a miracle right there.
Yeah,
Very,
that was-
very
and
good.
we have 4 alumni that are working for us right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
They went back to school.
Very cool. Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, so they come and if they go back to school, I don't want to be drug and alcohol counselor, so they go back to school and they're doing their internships with us, and
Yeah.
so and we have another success story I feel like is one who came in with severe mental health and ended up coming in and leaving the first time, couldn't had a really hard time. It was taking a long time to get medication she needed through mental health. She ended up leaving and then came back about a year later, pregnant, and pushed her way through it. And she's one of our alumni now too, and she's doing great. Her mental health is
Very good.
She's got her own place, and
In looking at the website, I noticed that there is a process as far as having to have an assessment done first. How would somebody who needs your help, how would they go about, signing up for the assessment?
so we get our referrals through drug and alcohol services. So through behavioral health, drug and alcohol services, they would need to go there first, and they would go to one of the walk-ins a walk-in at any of the clinics. So they have walk-ins different days, different times at different clinics. And they would get a screening first, and then they would get set up for an assessment. So once they go to their assessment, they get assessed at whatever level of care for treatment they need. So if they're a level 1, they would do an outpatient treatment program anywhere from 1 to 3 hours a week. And then there's level 2.1, which is intensive outpatient. And that's anywhere from 9 to 12 hours a week. And then there's 3.1, which is us. And so we're a minimum of 20 hours a week of treatment.
Okay. Now, if I'm not mistaken, and I think I heard this correctly when we were talking earlier, you are the only home that provides these services in the county. True?
Yes. The only ones.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's expensive to run a
Yeah.
home, for one.
Okay.
When you can only do 6 beds, and it's a very difficult population to work with. You're dealing with mothers, traumatized moms, traumatized kids. We're trying to teach the moms how to reparent. So it's walking a fine line. And I always say, like, somebody new comes in, I go, it's kind of like putting a fish in a shark tank, because they'll eat you up if you let them,
Right. Okay.
You're dealing with mama bear, all these mama bears, and
Yeah.
who already feel horrible because they've lost their kids. They feel horrible. They've got all this guilt.
Hmm.
And so we're having to work with all that on top of it, and it's, super important to build relationships with them so that we can earn their trust, so that they'll let us work with them and their kids.
So that takes a lot of effort.
It takes a lot. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of love, a lot of, I think our whole staff, we've really picked people who their heart's into it, and we just kind of meet the client where they're at and give them a lot of love. And what they usually say when they've completed, one of the things we do is we kind of leave it open, so they can come back and visit anytime. So once they get out there, that fear, they're out in the world now. So a lot of times once they leave, they'll be coming back for a couple of weeks, straight. We'll see them a lot. And then they mentor some of the new girls in the house. So they basically stay involved in a sense, which I think is huge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, in the house, there is a capacity for 6 mothers and 10 children, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the standard capacity because of could it be more if it was a bigger house, or no? Are you limited to that?
We're limited to that with licensing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I was looking at the website, I should say. I noticed that there wasn't anything specifically related to children per se. So how are the children, dealt with as far as part of the program?
So the children come in, we end up, so they get referred. So they'll immediately usually get referred to Martha's Place. Martha's Place does an assessment on them. And then they'll refer out to different agencies in the county. So we have tri-counties who will come and do work with moms. So they're good with, like, if the kids need speech therapy, occupational therapy, attachment therapy, anything that the child needs, there's a whole early intervention team that can come in and they'll help with the child. So because we're in county, they will actually come to our house. So they'll come to our house and work with the kids, which is great because a lot of times when they're outpatient, then they're having to figure out how to transport themselves and how to get to all these different
Right.
appointments. And they end up, they have a lot of appointments, and if they have more than one kid, we're looking at, a lot of appointments throughout the week. And so we're transporting them, making sure they're getting to these appointments or they're coming to the house.
Now, Martha's Place is specifically for children then? Is that what
Yes.
is that like is that a house as well? Or is that a program just happens to be named Martha's Place? Or?
Martha's Place, they have a doctor there. So any kids who have any special needs children. So it's not just drug exposed children or kids who've been traumatized. There's all kinds. It's just our kids, when they come in, will automatically, because most of them have been prenatally exposed. They've been traumatized one way or another. So we'll have them get assessed. And sometimes sometimes they don't need services at all. They'll go in and make sure they're meeting the bar of their, where they're at, age appropriateness.
Okay.
The babies, they're rolling over when they're supposed to be rolling over. They're sitting up. They're using their,
Well, you can, kind of what they say, if you catch them at early age, you can almost turn that around. Because a lot of times babies that have been drug exposed, it was explained to me, we had a woman, her name was Gain Pinto, and she was fantastic in this. And she worked for us for a while and kind of helped us get going with it. But different things like a baby that's been exposed, a baby that hasn't been exposed, when you hold them and they get cranky, you might bounce them. Well, a baby that has been exposed to drug, they get overstimulated very easily.
Right.
So there's different ways to deal with them. And that's where too, Pickles and Pickles come in and help, do what's it called, the sensitivity.
Yeah. So if they have sensory issues. So Martha's Place, basically they go and get assessed and they identify any needs.
Yeah.
For the children.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Now, so the process starts with the assessment through Drug and Alcohol Services, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So then would a person have to go through that first before you're contacted, or can somebody contact you directly and you can steer them
Absolutely.
to Drug and Alcohol Services?
Yeah. And that
Okay.
happens a lot.
Yeah.
That brings the point then. How do they contact you? Do they go through the website or can they call you?
They
Yes.
they can go to the website. If they go to the website, it has a phone number on there. They can call and contact us. And
Right.
Okay, so the website is Bryan's House Recovery Home.com, correct?
Yes.
And then I believe the phone number is
The phone number on it is actually a cell that I have. It's 805-674-3131.
okay.
So a lot of times they'll contact me and then I'll steer them to her, or I'll steer them to the county. So then we try to follow up, because it's very easy for them to get lost in the system. So we'll maybe or Alicia does a lot of that. She'll contact our contact person at the county and say, hey, we've got a person that's looking to come in, and, try to get them aware this person's coming in too.
Okay.
so we can just help maneuver
Yeah.
or navigate, how to get, if they need to, they can come to the house and I'll take them over to Drug and Alcohol Services, help them fill out the paperwork.
Okay.
And get them scheduled for an assessment.
Okay, very good. Okay, folks, if you want to know a little bit more about Bryan's House, if you have a person that is in need of their help, then you go to Bryan's House. That's BRYANS houserecoveryhome.com. That's on the web. And then if you want to contact Sandy or Alicia at the home, then you can call area code 805-674-3131. So I hope that if somebody is watching that is in need of their help, please take the time to contact them, because it's a very much needed service. And ladies, Thank you so much for being here. We
you.
really appreciate it. And I certainly wish you luck and success. Thank you very much for being with us. This is Mark Sobowitz with a clarion voice from the Hub Studios in Atascadero. Thank you.